guys, this is Tina. Welcome back to my channel. So today I thought I'd come along and we'd have a bit more of a play with the collage pages that are listed in my Etsy. So I thought we'd kind of make some tags today. So I just brought this one along just to kind of show you, because we made this one last time and I just wanted to show you how it looked. Now it's got the stitching around it. So really cute. You know, just, yeah, really like how that turned out. So that's that little flower fairy one. So I'll just pop that out of the way. So I've gathered some things here that I thought we could kind of have a play with to make some tags. So I've got the bird garden collage page, just one of the pages there. Oops, I'll just show you. And I also brought along one of the pages from the Go Gently. So if I just pop that to one side, we'll start with the bird garden, I think. So as I say, I thought we would make some tags. I've brought along a lot of flowers that I've cut out from a vintage book, and I thought we could play around with those. I've also got a stamped image of a bird cage which has been stamped onto some acetate. I love doing this. Yeah, I just really love them. So I don't know whether we will use that. You know, we're just playing around and kind of getting a feel for things, but I just thought, being the bird garden, that naturally kind of, you know, went along with this you know, these collage pages. So if I just move these out the way for a moment, what I thought we'll do is kind of cut it down into the rough sizes to make some tags. So if we kind of cut this one, I'm thinking kind of here, we might be able to get kind of another tag from this part as well. You know, I don't know, I haven't really kind of planned how, you know, how it's necessarily going to work, but let's try that. So if I just slide that off. So I'm just going to kind of snip it here. I'm just going to kind of cut along to about here. And again, I'm just being really super stingy, and, you know, I must kind of realise by now that I can just print more of these off. I don't have to, you know, hoard them as I'm inclined to want to do. Don't ask me why that is. I just have no idea. And then I thought we'd make a tag from this kind of section here. So I'm going to kind of cut that one, I think, about here. And I might as well cut that right to the end, and then we can kind of trim that down in a minute. And then I've got this middle section that we can kind of make a tag either with the top part, like that, or with the bottom half, or we might use it for something else. So I'm just going to get rid of that for the moment. So this one here, now this is printed on, what is this printed on? Let me try and think. I think this is printed on the 160 GSM smooth cardstock. So again, to me, this doesn't feel, you know, overly thick. So, you know, I mean, it does say that it is 160 GSM, and weirdly enough, although I have gone on and on about, you know, not having faith in its thickness, I did go on to order some more of it because I do love it for the folios that I've made recently. I'm just cutting some paper here to back it with. The folios that I've made recently, I think it's just absolutely perfect for, you know, the perfect thickness for those. So, you know, I think it definitely kind of has its uses. So this is just some copy paper. Now, I'm not sure whether I want to back it onto something thicker than that. We'll kind of, you know, decide as we go. But what I did wonder was whether I might be able to kind of cut with my craft knife in here across the bird and tuck some flowers in behind it. Now, I have to say, I'm not overly brilliant with my craft knife. And this is where I find that I can't even find my craft knife. I mean, my craft knife is a cheap and cheerful, flimsy, rubbish craft knife, and I really could do with kind of investing in a better one. So that, I'm sure, is not really helping when I say that I'm not very good with it. You know, but then, what's the saying? A bad tradesman always blames his tools. Something like that. I don't know. So I'm kind of thinking about here. So let me move this out of the way. I'm just going to kind of try and cut here. Don't even know if that's cut through it. This is definitely not a good knife. It's very old and probably could do with at least breaking the thing off. So I'm just going to cut around here like that, and I'm hoping that that's cut through enough for me to be able to poke this through. Oh, come on. Oh my gosh, so fiddly. This is so fiddly. Might have to kind of open that slightly more. So, just in case. There we go. So, again, I'm going to just poke that through. Like that. Oops. Isn't that cute? And it's just kind of then poking out behind the bird, which I just thought looked really sweet. Now these ones, I'm trying to work out what's going on with these flowers, kind of so that I would cut the stem in the right place. So perhaps I'll get rid of this piece here. You know, kind of sometimes in pictures you kind of look at them and you can't really work out what stem goes to what flower, or, you know, things like that really. It's one of those scenarios going on with these. So there we go. So I've cut those. Don't know whether we could get them poked behind there as well. And maybe I can't get them quite at the right angle. I wondered whether I could have had them going behind. Let's just see. But then they maybe don't really look like flowers. Let's have a look. Now probably what I need to do is actually fussy cut this, but whether I'm going to end up actually fussy cutting and, you know, kind of breaking the entire flower up, it remains to be seen. So I'm fully prepared that that may well happen in a moment. And I think what I'll do is probably trim off the green, because I'm going to struggle to cut around that. So there we go. So that's a bit better. And then kind of thinking, can I somehow kind of tuck this in behind that? No, probably not. Probably not. Just trying to kind of be a bit too ambitious probably there. Let's just lift that up a bit. Well, I probably could if I make my slit a bit bigger. So let me pull this out. I'm just going to kind of make that slit a bit bigger. Like that. Got another really nice day here. Sun's shining. Been at work this morning. So I'm just quickly getting a bit of crafting in before home time for the schools, you know. Before my piece is completely kind of disrupted. So we can have those like that. Oh, I wonder whether I want that further down. I'm just going to make that slit a bit bigger. In a minute, I'm going to have actually cut this bird completely off of the tag. Okay. And he'll be just flapping around completely away from the tag, but never mind. Once we glue him onto kind of whatever we're going to use as the background, it will be fine. So, okay, that's a better kind of fit there. So I like how that looks. That looks really cute, really pretty, I think. And again, I mean, we could kind of pop some little flowers on at the bottom. I think would be really quite nice. In fact, we could have them kind of like that. And obviously once we trim the tag, you know, some of those would be kind of cut off. So need to kind of bear that in mind. And decide kind of whereabouts we might want that. So I've got those. I have got these ones. Perhaps these might be nicer. Have a look. Again, I might get rid of that great big one. And again, this is where kind of, you know, flowers being so random in their shapes and sizes is so convenient, because we don't honestly have to worry too much about you know, lining them up properly, because you know, cutting them properly, because obviously, you know, flowers by nature are all shapes and sizes. So you know, they're not symmetrical, are they? They're not perfect. So, you know, that's kind of that. Now, just before I cut a kind of butterfly, I've got some stamped images. I'm obviously very into my stamped things at the moment. I do really love stamped images. I just, yeah, really do. So I'm kind of thinking maybe put something stamped on here. So let's get the glue. Let's hope it's not clogged up today. I've left it with the lid on overnight, and I've left it upside down. So, I mean, hopefully it's going to play the game nicely. So I'm going to glue this flower here. Excuse my head in the way. If my head is coming out on the film, I apologise now. And I've still got my sunglasses kind of popped on my head because it was quite sunny coming home from work. But I'm finding this a bit fiddly, so I kind of really need to get my, you know, get nice and close to it for the vision. So I just apologise now. So what I've done, I've kind of glued them both so that I can hopefully tuck that in there. So like that. Oops, my setup is wobbling around as I'm pressing that down. And then I'm just going to glue it from the other side. You know, not that it's going to slip out or anything, because it's actually quite a kind of, you know, snug fit now it's in there, but that just kind of keeps them down like that. Then I'm going to pop my clock down, and I'm going to pop these flowers on here. So now before I do that, I might just glue this onto the background page. The reason being, this is stamped onto a kind of card. I mean, it's not overly thick, but just thickish. And so once I've stuck that down, obviously then this is going to have a kind of lumpy effect when I'm kind of pressing it down. So just to kind of eliminate that, I'm going to just, you know, do it now before it's kind of stuck down. Now I'm still undecided whether this is going to be quite thick enough for me. I'm just having a look around to see whether I've got any thicker card. So bear with me, guys. I'm just having a quick look to see whether I've got thicker card kind of here beside me. Oh, I don't think I have, which is just really annoying. You see, again, you kind of plan these things, and then it's guaranteed there's going to be stuff that you kind of don't really bring along or take into account. So I do apologise, and I know that, you know, kind of bending down like that, my, you know, the sound quality is then going to be, you know, disrupted and rubbish for you guys. So I apologise for that as well. But I have got some coffee dyed card. So there we go. That was just tucked on. See, this is the benefits of having that messy desk that I'm always going on about, because it just happened that I just had some card just laying around on the desk, which obviously if my desk was all nice and tidy, you know, I wouldn't have had that benefit. So it really is quite, you know, quite handy to have such a messy desk. You see, and I would just tell myself that and, you know, maintain that that's my reason for the messy desk. There we go. So I'm just going to glue this down. So obviously this is, you know, cardstock that I have coffee dyed, and, you know, obviously I've ironed it. So it's kind of pretty flat. I mean, it's not 100% flat because you don't tend to get it kind of 100% flat once you've coffee dyed it. But, you know, it's as flat as it's going to be. You know, having been coffee dyed and ironed. So I'm just going to cut that out. And what I tend to do is kind of then cut it slightly off, if you see what I mean. So the very edge of the paper also comes off. And that way, you know, hopefully it kind of makes you go closer to the glue. I'll just do that up there as well. You know, and again, I mean, I might stitch this on the sewing machine, but, you know, because my sewing machine's not set up here, I won't be doing that kind of here, you know, for the purposes of the video. So I'm just kind of, you know, getting it kind of glued around at the minute. There we go. And then I could trim down this edge as well. Okay, so I think that looks really pretty. And then we're going to pop on the clock face, and we're going to just pop on those yellow flowers. So I love how that looks already. So I will probably just glue the clock face on. I don't need to glue it fully to the edge because obviously I was having it hanging off. So that will kind of do. That down, and I'm going to trim that off in a minute. So then I get my flowers, just glue them on like that. Take them down a bit. Okay. Oops. Just kind of bent that little leaf there for a moment. Okay. So love how that looks. And then what I'm going to do, just trim off that clock, just off the side there. And then, you know, I know you've all seen me do this before. I quite like to just rough up my tags. You know, not always. You know, I don't necessarily say this is something I always do, but I do quite like roughing up the edges because it just gives them a bit more kind of texture and a bit more interest. So that's kind of that. Now, do I want to round the corners? I quite like my tags, you know, you can probably see it's not tag shaped. I quite like tags that are, you know, just rectangular. And so that's what I'm kind of thinking I'm going to go for here. I'm just looking for my corner rounder, which now, would you believe, I can't actually find. So even if we want rounded corners, that might not be an option for this one. Now you see, that's one of the pitfalls of having the messy desk. We've talked about the advantages and now we're on the pitfalls. So, oh, that's a shame. I mean, it really can only be here. And the second I switch this camera off, it will suddenly then appear before me as if by magic. Right. No, I cannot see my corner rounder anywhere, which is a bit annoying. Let me just stand up and see whether I can kind of rummage and find it somewhere. So I said in my last video, I've kind of started having a bit of a sort out of my, not my desk, you know, I cannot pretend that I'm sorting out my desk, no way. But a bit of a sort out of my area surrounding my desk. So that's probably why I've misplaced my corner rounder now, because it probably you know, put it away with something that I've been clearing up. Oh, no, it's definitely buried somewhere. Cannot find it now for the life of me, so that's very annoying. Okay, right. So I had also brought along some butterflies. So I've got these buff coloured ones. I love using buff coloured things. I also had these, which are just on coffee dyed cardstock, which I thought I might use. But when I was just rummaging for my corner rounder, I happened to stumble across this one, which is one of those stamped ones that we did for some of the collage pages. So I'm just going to use that because obviously, you know, if you watch the collage episodes, which, you know, there are kind of more to come, I haven't finished those yet. It's just a case of kind of uploading them. And this was just one of the pieces that we didn't kind of quite use. So it is in fact in shades of green, which is, you know, awesome for this tag because it will just go perfectly with the tag. So there we go. Pop the rubbish in my little bin bag beside me. So move those out of the way. So that's that. And then I've still got my, well, I say I've still got my green inks. Maybe I haven't. No, here we go. So I think this was the one that we actually used on that fairy piece that we did. And I'm going to use this again. So again, what I'm going to do, I think, is go around the edges, you know, very lightly with the green. So I'm not actually distressing the paper as such, but I'm just getting a bit of a green hue going on around the edge. So we just kind of do that gently. Still haven't changed my ink pad, and I really should, because you can probably see it's now actually falling apart. So I shall have to do that. What are the chances, do you think, that the next time I do a video I'm still persevering with this same this same falling apart ink pad? Oh well. So that's my butterfly. So I'm just going to pop that to one side. And what I might do, I just get the kind of green off, is I might now go over my tag a bit with the vintage photo, just because one or two places are quite white. So for instance, the clock, you know, had been printed obviously on, not printed, sorry, stamped onto white paper. And the flowers from the vintage book, although had kind of, you know, succumbed to kind of yellowing over the years, they looked quite white, if you see what I mean. So I'm just kind of making them look a little bit older, really. There we go. And then I've got my butterfly, which I'm going to kind of pop on here, I think. So yeah, so what I might do is actually kind of ink that up slightly more in the green, because you know, I do really like the green kind of showing through, because it's just picking up those leaves and, you know, the green and things. But I didn't want to kind of ink the whole tag in green, if you see what I mean. So there we go. That looks really nice. So we've got that like that, and then just have a look and see whether I've got any little words or anything we could pop on here. I've got cherish, that's quite nice. So again, if I just trim that down, make it slightly smaller. And again, just rough that a bit on the edges. Again, I'll just ink around that. Oops. Oh well, that's the vintage photo. I was actually going for the green, but so I'm just going to ink around that in the green now. Again, just kind of, you know, picking up those edges like that. So liking how that looks, and then I think I'm just going to pop that like that. So again, we could pop that word on a, you know, piece of lace. So I've just got some teeny lace here, which let me just undo this. Hold on, guys. Oh, I'm actually really warm. It's obviously quite a muggy kind of day today, so I'm getting quite warm doing this video. So there we go. I mean, actually that very hardly kind of shows, but just a little bit. So I'm just going to kind of cut that down like that. I'm going to pop that here. So, and again, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pop that like that. And we're going to have our butterfly kind of here, I think. So I'm going to hot glue this on again, because obviously it is, you know, glued onto lace. I just want it to kind of firmly grip there, you know, without having to kind of hold it down or press it down at all. So there we go. And we're just going to have the butterfly kind of there, I think. So just leave the wings flapping. I always like to do that. Not always. I mean, occasionally there are kind of instances where it's better laying flat, but on the whole, I really like kind of leaving the wings flapping. Now, I'm going to have this as a little corner tab. So just put that in there like that. Get some of my page I've done this ever since I've been doing videos, is call them page protectors. I don't know why I always go to call them that. They are obviously hole reinforcers, but for some reason to me, page protectors just seems more obvious. I don't know why, but that's just what comes to mind every single time that I go to say hole reinforcer. So again, we could pop this on through there like that. Like that. And then, so if I just pop that like that. So hold on. Okay. Like that. And then like that. And then I did find the other day, when I started clearing up, I actually had some yellow eyelash trim, would you believe? So now, will I be able to find it? That's a whole other thing. Hold on. Oops. Oh, maybe that's not it. Oh yes, here we go. So I've got this yellow eyelash trim, which is just going to pick up that yellow on this tag perfectly. So, and actually, I mean, I could have had some eyelash trim down there, but too late now. So again, I'm just doing that little trick that I kind of saw Artie Mays do, which I just loved. So cut that nice and long, so as it was nice and easy to do. And actually, we might even be able to do it again. So, you know, so as we've got more going on around that. So I'll do it once more. And again. And I'm kind of knotting it the opposite way so that hopefully it kind of stays fastened really nicely. So there we go. How cute is that? I might trim that lace down because it's pretty long. Love that tag. It's really, really cute. So that's the first one. I'm going to pop that out of the way. Now we're going to work on the second one. So again, let's decide how we want it. And I, you know, as I say, I dug out this bird cage. I just couldn't think of the word I was looking for a minute. Dug out this bird cage because I thought that would be really nice kind of on here. So I'm just deciding which way to cut this, whether to cut it here and then we've got the butterfly which we could then cut out and use, or whether to have it down here. Whoa. And we could pop on, you know, either a different butterfly or a flower or something like that. Oh, decisions again. It's so tricky sometimes, isn't it? I've got this rose, which this is just from my Gypsy Rose kit, and I'm just bringing it along because, again, you know, it was just in green, and I thought, oh, that might just kind of work with this. So just cut that out. You know, it may be too big, but it might be okay. Let's just have a look. Not sure about the whole mixing of the flowers. Now this is where I watch other, you know, journal makers, and they're so brilliant at mixing the kind of combination of things that they would easily be able to mix this rose with these, you know, book flowers. And this is where I just cannot seem to kind of achieve that. So yeah, I don't know why that is, but I just can't. So I do really like it down here with that butterfly. However, I am kind of thinking this butterfly would make a bit more impact kind of flapping on the page somewhere. So I'm kind of at the moment leaning towards that really. Now, got some doily somewhere. No, I'm going to have to get a fresh doily because I have got some doily kind of laying around on the desk, but again, who knows where that actually is now. So just pull in kind of fresh one. Yeah, it's very, very warm now, and getting quite hot doing this video, so I may have to kind of give up in a minute just because I'm getting so hot doing the video. So otherwise I'll be kind of passing out, I think. So don't know really whether that doily kind of adds anything to that, unless we have it kind of at the bottom. Oops. Oh, come on. Could have it like that. Okay, well, I quite like that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the doily down. So like that. And again, I mean, I'm just going to kind of glue it down pretty much all over. I know lots of people leave them flapping. I mean, for me, I find that a bit fiddly because I'm liable to catch it and tear it. So, you know, I like to kind of fix mine down really. But I mean, that's just kind of a, you know, personal thing really. So I'm going to have it like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these flowers onto the acetate bird cage like that for a moment. So I'll just leave that to one side. Obviously they're going to take quite a while to dry. Just while I cut this down. So again, what we could do is, whilst that's drying a bit, I mean, obviously it's doubtful that that's going to dry during the course of doing the video, but you know, we'll just leave it there for a moment. So while that's doing that, I'm just going to again glue this onto this coffee dyed cardstock. So I think this cardstock's probably 200 GSM, if I recall. So it's kind of quite a nice thick one. Oops. So we just press that down like that. It sounds like I've got a wine glass or something up there. I can assure you I haven't. It's 2 jars that I've got stood on top of the kind of flap of the case of my iPad. And every time I obviously move, you know, too much on my desk, as I've said before, my desk's one of those kind of old-fashioned kind of French kind of desks. So it's really not a very stable desk, and it's just wobbling the table so much that obviously the 2 jars that are balanced, they're clanging together. But yeah, so although it sounds like I'm drinking wine, I can assure you I'm not. I actually don't drink, so yeah, kind of definitely that wouldn't really be a thing for me. So there we go. Okay, so again, I'm going to rough up the edges because I do really like that. Going to have a look because I can't remember what this peeled paint, what this came out like. So let's just have a quick look and see how that kind of looked. Right, so that was quite a kind of dark one. Let's just have a look when we bring this back. So if we have that here. Not sure how well that goes or not. So right, so the bird cage I'm going to kind of now glue down, and what I might do is kind of glue it with hot glue here, and that will be hidden completely underneath those flowers. So you know, that's kind of how I quite like doing that. So I'm just going to run some hot glue around there and going slightly onto those flowers so that it's kind of held down, you know, doubly. So, and again, I'll just press that down so it's not too lumpy, because hot glue can be a little bit lumpy. And then I'm just wondering whether we could kind of fold them round so that we've got the flowers kind of continuing on the back of the tag. So let me just cut that off. So if I just cut that like that, just wondered whether that might look kind of nice to have that as a continuation there of the tag. So I might do that, I think. Oops, and actually I probably need to just add a bit more glue here. There we go. So press them down, and then sometimes it's kind of nice to have something around the back of the tag, isn't it? You know, so it's not completely plain. So there we go. That's quite nice, and it kind of ties in then really nicely. Now, the only thing is I've lost my kind of roughed up edge, so I don't know whether without tearing the paper I can rough it up a bit more. So not going too mad, but I was able to then just rough it up slightly so that that's kind of still got that rough edge. Now I'm just going to quickly have another look through my inks because I know that I've got another shade of green. So I've got this one, which is pine needles. Now, I've got this feeling that this is very, 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 very dark. A kind of bright dark. So let's just test this out first. Right, can you see? Very kind of dark. But I feel it's going to kind of tie in perfectly with these leaves and things. So again, I'm just going to kind of ink up very gently just around the edge of the tag, because again, I don't want to kind of make my, you know, all of my papers green, but it is quite nice to kind of pick up that green like that. So isn't it a really lovely colour green? And again, I mean, you could do the same the other side to kind of tie it in. Doesn't that look pretty? It's quite nice to be getting some of these other ink colours out, because I've had them for the longest time and hardly ever kind of use them because I tend to kind of stick with that vintage photo. But this one is called Pine Needles, and hopefully kind of you can see that. But it's quite a, you know, this is quite a dark, I mean, obviously as the colour shows, but I mean, you can probably see better on that side. It comes out really quite dark, but very pretty. So yeah, that looks quite nice, and it's quite fun to be able to use something different. So that's that. And then I've obviously got this butterfly, so I'm just again going to cut the butterfly out. Like that. Yes, it's such a shame because I don't think I'm going to have a chance to play and make some tags with the other paper, which was my intention, because I'm really just very warm. So I'm going to have to, I think, call it quits here. Okay. So, and we can obviously pop this somewhere on the tag. Could have it kind of going off to the side again, like we did in one of the pieces we did yesterday. I quite like that. Or we could have it kind of just down here or something at the bottom. Again, I might just see how that looks inked up slightly with that pine needles. I'll just be a bit gentle because it will colour it very quickly. And then it will be really dark. So just kind of being a bit gentle there. It just makes a little bit of difference. I mean, not a great deal, but just a touch. So we could have that like that. And then just wondering what to have as our tab for this. Oops. Whether we want to have some lace going across there. Oh, I quite like that. What do you guys think? You know, so this would then be more of a journaling card, really, rather than a tag. But I don't mind that. You know, that's fine by me. So I might do that. So again, I mean, if these wings are going to go over that bird cage, then what you can do is just secure that down slightly more, again with the hot glue. Oops. And then we'll pop the butterfly on like that. So, you know, kind of, I mean, I find that the acetate's pretty good for gluing down with the hot glue. And obviously, if you then hide it with something, that's really, you know, it's not a problem, is it? Now, let me just have a look and see what's the right side. Now I'm covered in green ink. So I'm just going to kind of keep this out of the way while we kind of glue this piece. Whoops. Oh my gosh, what is wrong with me today? There we go. While we glue this lace down. So, like that. And then we're just going to kind of glue that on there. So, I mean, I think that looks really pretty. And then we're just going to trim that off. Like that. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of more of a journaling card really than a tag, you know, but, you know, that's fine by me. I don't mind that. I think it looks super pretty. So two really quite different looking tags that we made there with the bird garden collage page. And as I say, I mean, I would have really liked to have done something with the Go Gently and made some more tags, but unfortunately I am feeling very, very hot. So I'm going to have to go and kind of cool down, have some water and kind of get out of the hot environment here. So yeah, so let me just put those on a kind of cleaner sheet so that they show up slightly more, and hopefully you can kind of see them better now. So yeah, I hope that you like the tags and think that they're really, you know, super cute. And yeah, I'd love to hear your comments below. And you know, I'm not very good at kind of all this bit, but you know, I'd really love it if you could subscribe to my channel. Apparently, if you click that bell thing, it will tell you when I upload videos. So, you know, if you want to know that, then click the bell. So, okay, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all again soon. Thanks then, bye.